story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Welcome to WTF US, where we talk about our country in as much of a non-divisive way as we possibly can, and share our view on current events and all the other things that we think are relevant to talk about with all of you. And just as a thought, because we've never really said this before, but if you want to comment on what we're talking about or have questions about future shows that you want us to answer or things you'd like us to cover, feel free to share it in the comment section below our video so that we can all interact. With us today, we have John, our resident economist, who worked with Jefferson during the founding days of the Treasury. And Dirk, our sneaky spy, working for the police and for the Air Force for a lot of his life, as well as incredibly educated with 2 master's degrees. Woo! And Tali, our former Vegas party girl and former Republican. Oh, interesting. And Ariel, a recovering physicist, Chinese medicine practitioner, and proprietor of Cosmic Tortoise Tea, which is delicious tea that he's drinking every time we're on the show. And then there's me. I do all the things. I'm a polymath. I do all the things. I'm Rachel.
I'm a Renaissance woman, damn it. I do everything.
Yes, that is my deal. And sitting here beside me that I'll make room for is my father, Kurt, who will be joining us for the third week in a row because I'm home visiting my folks in Pennsylvania. There he is.
It's the old hippie.
What's up, Kurt?
Are you not allowing her to leave?
Hey, there's some weird characters popped up on my screen that says it entered the way. I don't know.
Ooh. My dad is sporting my art on a shirt. So that's one of the things I do. I make the art.
There she is.
And we are welcoming in our correspondent from Israel.
Correspondent.
Hey.
And some random dude that we've never seen.
So, disappearing illusionist correspondent, introduce yourselves, please, and let us know where you're coming from. Unless we're having technical difficulties.
There we go. Can we hear you guys? We can't
hear you.
Can you hear us?
I'm not sure. Tali, will you introduce them until we figure out why we can't hear them?
Can you hear us?
Well, this is my daughter,
Layla, write her in the chat and tell her.
And her boyfriend, Guy, and they are in Israel. And
they are new to technology and trying to figure it out.
They're definitely not new to technology.
They have no excuse. They look like millennials.
You got
Oh
a couple
no,
of
we're the millennials. They're Zennials. Oh, there we go.
You got a couple of old white dudes trying to tell the kids how to work technology here.
Both put in video and
all right, success.
We're using my camera as our microphone.
Okay, no, it's working. We hear you.
We can hear you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hi.
Hi.
There you
Hey,
go.
and before we get too far into this, Rachel and Ariel, I am about to have a new show at the station. A young Asian woman who is going to be doing a show about Chinese medicine. So you may be contacted.
Why is that in air quotes?
Asian?
Chinese medicine?
Chinese medicine.
Yeah, because I should have said Asian medicine.
Okay.
Why are either of these things in air quotes?
It's called duck walking. Anyway, so you may be getting contacted to appear as guest on the show. So
that sounds wonderful.
Anyway, sorry, back to you, Rach.
All
right, so
everything John says should be in air quotes.
From now on, we'll just put permanent quotes around your head. So today we have a lot to cover. We're going to talk about, as our main topic, how we can potentially roll back from the extinction of humanity, if there's a way. We'll be debating that. But first, we are going to talk about something you may be aware of if you saw our show last week, but there's been some bombing between Israel and Palestine that really hasn't been covered in our news here, as far as I've seen. And joining us live from Israel to talk about it, are Tali's daughter and her boyfriend. We didn't get your name yet, so if you want to tell us, feel free.
Guy Chemo, and it's hard to say Chemo, but we'll go with it. Yeah,
Look at this guy. I wasn't
we live
gonna
here
say.
in Sderot, I come to the
Yeah. We live in Sderot, which is right next to the border between both areas.
Mm.
And we weren't air quote. We weren't here actually for the first night. We were up a little further north, not by much. But this is the area that's very known for, like, when there's rockets, it's here. But we were fine. Our dog was like really super, had no idea what was going on. We just put our mattress here, and we're currently in our bomb shelter.
It's like sheltered room in each house.
Right. Each apartment here or house here has a bomb shelter in it, and so our bomb shelter is our game room.
Fun.
We have all the technology in here, and so we just moved our mattress in here, and we slept in here, and we have our dog here too. I can pull up actually.
Oh, so I'm so curious about this bombing thing, and it seems like something that happens a lot there, but was this something like unprovoked, retaliatory? Is it just something that's going on all the time? What's your thoughts on it?
It's not something that's going on all the time. Like the last time we heard like any alarm was like
Last
a
year.
year ago.
Well, there was one in between, but this time it was different because it wasn't with us and Hamas. It was us against like the Palestinian Jihad or Islamic Jihad. Sorry.
Yeah, there are like groups with like different groups. Like it doesn't like sometimes it's with a certain group and sometimes it's with a different one. But living in Sderot and living like around this area is like very comfortable because we have like the Iron Dome, and even though there was like fires and alarms, like shootings and alarms, there wasn't any landings.
Right. The Iron Dome had 97%, I think it was,
Yeah,
96%
like compared
accuracy.
like before we had it.
Yeah. I think
Much.
there was only one.
It's much.
One.
Yeah, one
There
in
was-
the house that didn't.
Right. There was one that landed in a house that didn't explode, but everyone was safe. Like everyone was in the bomb shelter. They come out and they're like, there was a weird smell. So we went outside and then there was just a bomb in our kitchen.
Yeah.
That's a bit shocking.
Yeah.
It's one of the, when you smell something weird in the kitchen, it's not usually that.
Right.
It might
I
be
mean,
a
it's-
bomb. Maybe Billy Joel drove into your house. Or
Is he
You know, at
smelly?
least-
I didn't hear.
And when
At
they
least
say your
getting
cooking
bombed
is the
by-
bomb, that's not what they're referring to.
I mean, at least getting bombed by Islamic Jihad, it's keeping things fresh. Because, like, if, you're always just getting bombed by Hamas, eventually, like, you got to mix it up.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
did the jihadist bombs smell a bit more fresh? Or?
I think we were a little less concerned this time than we were with the Hamas, like with
Yeah,
Hamas.
we get like kind of, even as civilians, we kind of get the gist of what the military is going on, and you get which groups is stronger and which are not, and which has more effect. And you kind of assume this was going to be a like shorter
Yeah.
operation, shorter like time, because they're not like a bigger group as they might try to say they're gonna try to attack, but we already,
And the tactics that we use, like if Hamas said, if we had taken prisoners from Hamas and Hamas was like, give us back and we'll give you people, we would probably take the deal. But in their case, they said, give us back the people you took. And we said, no, they're in prison. Why would we give them to you? And they said, we'll retaliate, we'll shoot rockets again. And we said, okay.
Okay, so this bombing was because of prisoners that they wanted to get back that were refused to them?
That was what first started it, is that we took one of their leaders that replaced the one that we had taken out in, I think, 2019. I think it was.
I haven't read enough to know
That's
what
fine.
was going on.
That's okay.
I think, yeah.
It's fine. So we had taken a prisoner, and they said, like, if you don't give him back to us, we're going to start shooting rockets at you. And we said, okay, cool, perfect. And so then we took out basically all of the leaders of the jihad, and then they stopped.
Wow.
So-
Okay,
so-
so Israel's shooting back also. It's not just they're shooting.
For the
Yeah.
most part, we don't, but I think this one was very different than what is usually.
I think
going
we're
on.
always are aware of what they are trying to do when they are like in an operation, and them attacking us is, or every attack is a potential threat. And I think we always also try to eliminate them if we know about them before that. So I don't think there's any reason to keep attacking, because when there's peace, like, it's the best for both sides.
Yeah.
And I don't see why we'll start one of those.
Mhm.
I want to ask this question because we're in this country, we're spoiled. We've never really, I mean, except for a few rare occasions, have never had to fear on a daily basis or live with that kind of a situation as you guys are there in Israel. That, I mean, that's part of your everyday life, is that, you know, the bombing, some type of bombing or something like that could break out or start at any moment. So how do you go about your daily lives? I mean, what things do you guys do, or how do you handle that? I mean, it just,
I'd like to take this one if it's
Well,
okay. I think he's a lot more used to it. Like he laughs at me every time it happens. I sit in the mamad and I'm like, oh my god, like, when's it gonna happen? Oh my god, and he sits there and he like points and laughs at me. He's like, there's nothing wrong. You're fine. We're sitting in a mamad. Like I'm convinced.
And Mamad is the bomb room.
Yeah, the bomb shelter. The bomb shelter. He's not pointing and laughing at me, obviously, but like he's a lot more relaxed about it than I guess I am, because I'm not used to it. And like this last round, we were at his parents' house for dinner, and we were like on our way back the second day. We decided, okay, like they haven't shot in an hour, they haven't shot in 2 hours, let's try to get back home. We tried to make the drive back down here, and the whole time I was sitting in the car, like every single noise, every twig, every like leaf that car, I was freaking out. I was freaking out the whole time, and he was like, we're fine. We're so fine. You don't understand how fine you are. We're sitting there like safe in the car, and we got here and we were fine, and he was right. But it's the feeling of like being at Shabbat dinner and knowing that they kept saying we're gonna start shooting, we're gonna start shooting, we're gonna start shooting, and just kind of sitting there waiting for it to start is the weirdest feeling. Like I can't even explain how weird it feels to be sitting there and being like, okay, I think it'll start like in 15 minutes, you think it'll start in an hour, like when do you think they'll decide that it's like time? And so you're just sitting there and you just kind of gotta just wait for it to start. And it's really weird.
well, it's one thing if you're in a shelter, but like you said, if you're out in town or out in the street, I mean, do you have access to public shelters or when that kind of things happens?
Yeah, it's a lot. It comes down to like confidence in
Your running ability.
no, both like in the Iron Dome to intercept it, and it comes into knowing there's like a shelter here in parks. Like we have like 7 shelters for each park, like next to the dog area, next to the swings.
We have this huge park underneath where our apartment is, and you can't take 5 steps without being at another shelter. Like you take 5 steps, another shelter, 5 steps.
And it's
There's
it's knowing that like you're safe and you can live your life and everything is all right.
Yeah.
And this is what like the most like something you get used to. At the start, you get to feel like how it's scary, but after a while, you feel safe. Feel safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sderot has been called the bomb shelter capital of the world. Which, like,
I don't know the competition, but we might be very good at it, and we'll live our life very nicely.
Yeah, it like made news that Tel Aviv, the like not the capital of Israel, but like where all the high techs are, where all of the like
the big city.
one a big city, not as opposed to Sderot. They made big news that like they opened their bomb shelters. It's like whoa, like it was really exciting. They had like 3 bomb shelters under the street, and they opened them, and it was like a big deal. Even though here we have one every half a block.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
fucking insane. I mean, it's absolutely fucking insane. That's exactly what we were talking about last week, and this is just one little piece of what we got to try to overcome. I mean, fuck. Sorry. Just
Sorry.
fuck.
Well, I mean, it's amazing you guys are, you know, like I would think relatively safe from each other at least. I mean, here it's like John said, we're not worried about being bombed by other countries, but random Americans with heavy artillery rifles and guns and, you know, Americans here are just attacking other Americans every day, all the time. There's murders every day. There's gun violence every day. Someone goes in and shoots up a school every day. And these are Americans attacking other Americans because we have really easy access to guns with high capacity magazines. And so it's like, is that something you're afraid of there as well? Or is it more just bombs from the outside?
There was an Netflix show that we saw. It wasn't a parody, but they made like a teen, like I don't know how to explain it, the uniform mask or whatever.
Yeah, they made a kind of what if we had a
Yeah.
school shooting kind of a scenario in Israel.
Yeah, it was a Netflix like show, and they were like, "Oh, what could possibly happen?" It was like a drama, you know, like it was.
Yeah.
But it was very. It felt very like satirical on on like
then
American school.
Like kind of showing how we're not used to it at all.
Yeah.
In Israel, kind of having united people.
Mhm.
Maybe I don't know. I don't want to get into the causes.
Yes, no, like in the show, it was like they had one whole scene where they were like, oh, we should ban guns. But then the whole joke was like that people don't have guns anyway. Like,
Right.
yeah, it was, people have guns. Do you want to talk about that? People having,
Well, yeah, because that's a lot different from when I lived there.
right.
When I lived there, having like an M16 was like wearing socks and sandals. It was like a dorky dad thing. Like you just walked around with your gun slung across your shoulder or whatever. Like that's not the case anymore. Now you have to go.
I don't know. I feel like most people who currently I see around wearing a gun are trying to get from their home to their base,
their
or
base.
from their base to their home.
Right.
And most of the photos and stuff of people like being, I don't know, at the beach with a gun.
Or like,
kind of like joke how some soldiers might like try to get a break while still being on the way from like one place to another.
yeah, like
Yeah.
stopping at the beach before you get to
Yeah.
base. Like that's kind of the
Like you might see guns if you're in a
like in Jerusalem. You might see like people walking.
any like very populated area or
Yeah.
like where like a lot of people are moving because soldiers are usually just trying to get from
But
this
security
home
guards also
somewhere.
have fun.
But
Security
yeah,
guards can also
security-
carry.
Yeah, but I think it was an
Yeah.
security. Yeah.
Got it. So in Jerusalem, like big cities, they have like security guards with guns. But for the most part, if you see a gun, it's like on a soldier, and they're not gonna coming to a school to,
Yeah.
But that's not even the real issue as far as I'm concerned, because the fact is, when you see somebody with a gun there is a purpose, there is a different
Right.
intent.
And they're
This
trained
country, when you
and
see
they
people with guns,
understand.
you don't know what the intent is. You don't know what they're thinking. You don't know what they're gonna do. They definitely don't need the fucking gun. They just happen to have it for more or less ego purposes, as far as I'm concerned.
yeah. And
I saw something very interesting about if police will shoot you if you have a gun because they think you're a threat. So
yeah.
by saying that, or though because of those actions, we really do not have a right to bear arms. I mean,
Well,
the Constitution says
I
we
find
do.
that funny because there's been a whole bunch of guys that had guns that did not get shot. And
Right,
there's been a whole bunch of black guys that didn't have guns that got shot.
right.
Yeah.
I was thinking
So
that,
that's
yeah,
bullshit.
the police will shoot you if you've got a gun or if you're black and have anything. Or if
Yeah.
you're black and have nothing.
No, but that's what I mean. If they think that you're a threat because you have a weapon or a gun or something like that, so
Or a threatening skin color.
But
Yeah.
I'm telling you, John, that is a fallacy. That is absolute bullshit, because
Okay.
there's been too many instances of white guys that had guns in their fucking hands that had just shot somebody and the police did not shoot them.
yeah, no, I agree with you, and you're absolutely right.
And then you have a black guy in Walmart that had the gun slung over his shoulder and got shot.
Yeah,
So
or was running away.
yeah.
Or had a
You're
cell
right.
phone,
You're right there.
or a banana, or
A hair comb.
Basically, just I mean, bombs are scary. Bombs are super scary, but
They really
Like,
freaked me out.
but you trade yeah, like everybody's basically saying, you trade things that I do feel a lot safer with Layla there. There are so
Because-
many things that I don't worry about
Yeah.
with her there. She went to the dentist the other day and she took a taxi home, and
Oh yeah, I was on anesthesia, so I took a taxi.
and if she were here and she wanted to take a taxi home from the dentist on anesthesia, I would be
Yeah,
fully
God knows what
panicked.
could have happened.
I would
Yeah.
be panicked. I would want to stay on the phone with her,
Yeah.
and
No,
that
my taxi driver here was great. He had Netflix on his dashboard and was like, "What do you want to watch?"
So maybe this end of the world thing that we've been talking about and the eventual demise of the human race is probably going to originate in the US
I
or
would.
already has.
You know, it's really interesting. It was fascinating because I'm listening to Layla and I'm thinking to myself, because I don't want to diminish what they're going through, but
Right.
it's almost like I feel like the occasional bombing, even if it was fucking every day, there are certain areas in this country that I, as a black man, wouldn't even want to walk down, because I don't know if somebody's going to attack me, if somebody's going to do something for just no other reason than the fact that I'm black. So if I knew there was going to be bombs coming every day, that's not a problem. Just go into the shelter and just hang out there for a while. But
It's a lot more intense than, I don't know. I would say it's great that we do have shelters, but even here it's like you have 15 seconds. Like we timed it. We were standing in the kitchen and like we timed each other. Like, okay, we have 15 seconds. We need to grab the dog. We need to like take the hot. We were cooking. Take the hot oil off the stove. Like, and we have 15 seconds to do this and run in here. Like I don't know. It's a lot more panicking the second you hear the siren. It's like, or the bombs. I thought there was bombs exploding like right outside of our window. The fact that it echoes so much, like I was like not crying, but I was on the verge. Like I kept just hearing boom, like right by my ear, and it was really scary. But like I know we're safe, and I do trust the Iron Dome and whatever. But
yeah, it's terrifying.
scary
And-
noise.
Layla, you've lived both here in the US and in Israel, right?
Yeah.
Where do you feel safer?
Oh my God, here. Here.
yeah,
So
I'd love
what
to have
threats
15
do you
seconds
feel
of
like aren't
warning.
there? Go ahead.
What?
I'd love to have 15 seconds of warning.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah. It's like the biggest thing, like I had us change our, like we have an app as well that like has a siren on it. So we hear it from the app before we even hear it from outside. But the biggest thing is because from outside, like I speak Hebrew, my Hebrew's okay. I think you can attest for it. But here, it's not a siren like it is in most places we've lived here in Israel. Here, it's someone saying Tseva Adom, which is like red alert. And I didn't, the first time it happened, I didn't know what was going on. I was sitting on the couch, I was eating, and guy gets up, starts running, and I'm just like chilling out on the couch. I didn't, like, come on. And I didn't know-
He must have to go to the bathroom.
yeah.
So Layla, what do you feel like, so you feel like you're safer there with bombs. So what do you feel like you're escaping from in the US that was scarier?
I don't know. I don't know. Living, especially like in Albuquerque and in Vegas, where probably not the best. Like maybe if I lived somewhere else, I could give a different example. But like Vegas, I remember like my school. I was walking into my school. Oh yeah, are you okay, Mom?
Yeah. This
He's
Layla
okay now.
went to a really, really good school, 9th through 11th grade. Her 12th grade year was like a little bit like white
Right, so-
knuckle.
My 12th grade year, I went to a different school, a public school. And I remember just one day I was walking around, like I was walking, it was my first period, like I had to walk to my first class. And I was walking, I didn't see anyone. I was like, that's weird. Like it's like 6 minutes before the bell should ring. Like people should be like still walking around, still getting, having their free breakfast that they get from the cafeteria, whatever. And I'm hearing like helicopters. And so I go into like my classroom, I'm like knocking on the door, and they like peek behind the curtain. They like grab me in, and they're like, oh my God, there's like someone on the loose. They're in the school, like there's helicopters everywhere looking for them. And I was like, oh, like I just had headphones and I didn't even notice.
So that's maybe more real in a sense, because it's like right.
Right. And that was like, I was a lot more scared then than I think I was here.
Yes.
Can I ask you a question? Because I don't know if you guys can answer this, but I've always been really curious. Do you guys see any end to what's going on there in the Middle East? Because it just seems like it's just a never ending.
No.
No, I don't see that.
Their goal is to kill us and to get us out of this place. Like their goal isn't to have peace. Their goal is never to be friends with us. It's really just they want us all dead.
I don't know if we can say their goal is like everyone's. I know
No, sorry.
if there was
This
any
is Hamas,
solution for
not-
peace, like Israel, like why not like take it? And I hope there's like a situation where we'll solve it. Oh, like honestly, I don't know how someone can solve it, especially when some of the groups are so radical, and currently a part of like openly radical. And I don't know how it's gonna somehow be peace when there are those kind of groups there. And
Yeah. I don't think there's ever gonna be a solution where they're gonna be happy with what happens.
Well, I find it fascinating too, that because when I was saying that, I wasn't just talking about Israel and all the other countries around it. They're killing each other. That the different sects of Islam are killing each other. I mean, it's a fucking shit show over there, and there doesn't seem they not only is there doesn't look like a solution to me, it doesn't look like they even want to have a solution. They just want to kill the other people that they don't like.
Well,
Right.
I think a lot of the Arab world has often relied heavily on a manufactured enemy to maintain control of their populace. And Israel and America are the easy, great Satan manufactured enemy. So as long as you keep your populace poor and uneducated to the point that you can convince them that every hardship in their life is the fault of this enemy, then you can maintain power and you can keep that conflict going. I think
Right, we do it here.
Right, yeah, it's done everywhere. I feel like it's done everywhere. But I think that the people have to somehow fucking wake up, because I think that those in power are going to continue to want to stay in power and continue to want to support the systems that have put them there and keep them there. That
Well, it
system
makes sense
being
that they have
hating
more of
on
a
Israel
problem
and
there.
demanding to kill, the death of all the Jews.
Right. It makes sense that they have more of a problem there simply because of the fact that at least here we had education at some point, and there it was a lot easier to suppress the educational process for the people.
Well,
A lot of people would argue against the education that you guys are getting there, though. In terms
What'd you
of,
say?
a lot of people would argue with the education you guys are getting there, though, because like half the people in America all think that Palestine is like should be free, and I've seen so many. There was a whole protest like a week ago about how all the Zionists should go home.
Well, I was just talking about the education as far as internal conflicts within the United States.
Okay, yeah.
So, Kurt,
I do think
Kurt was
though
going to say
Ed-
something.
I know Dirk and John both remember 1968 and all the crap the United States went through. But like you said about the Arabs killing each other because of who you don't like, I have a feeling that's coming here. It's getting worse all the time. People are going around killing people they just don't like. And it's getting worse all the time here. It's getting worse every day. And I think we're in great danger of slipping over a line at some point where there's going to be, I'm not advocating open civil war in this country, but there are going to be more attacks on people we just don't like, whether it's Arabs, whether it's Jews, whether it's blacks, whether it's Chinese, Asians.
Or white Americans. I mean, it's like everyone maybe
It seems
will fight
like
each other.
most of the perpetrators are white Americans killing people they don't like. And I think I think it's getting way dangerous here.
Well, especially
Every day.
now that they've controlled the education and the media.
They do.
That's the way it
And
works.
the education here, like Layla said, it's fairly one-sided in a lot of ways, but I'm not defending Palestine or Palestinians. There are two sides to the story. Both sides need to be accounted for. But for me, if you want to eliminate any conflict in the Middle East, shut off the money. Our greatest ally in the Middle East is Saudi Arabia, who's propping up the Gaza Strip. Saudi Arabia, that's where the money's coming from, and Iran. If you cut off the money, they got to come to the table because they're broke.
And that's true in almost every case.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, especially here and there and yeah, never mind.
Well, and I think, I mean, go ahead.
Sorry to cut you, but I don't think it's like just like about money. Like they have like a big population there, and we are like giving electricity and food and food like donation from the UN that like, goes into the Gaza Strip, and there's a whole terminal to just let them go into our country and like work in a lot of cases. And we, according to what's going on currently and how how much of like defense security like measures are being taken, like some of them are currently in the like country working and like bringing in income, and they're living there, but those groups still grow. Like Hamas is made not only just with military like intent. They also like take care of the people there, and they are part of like the community.
The government.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain it.
It's got both a political arm and a military arm.
They have a military arm which will like train them to like try to kill us.
Yeah, they have like summer camp.
Yeah, they're like basically like the people who are the most immediate threat to us, and that's like where they will still like grow, and no matter like we're looking at peaceful ways for them to like somehow develop, but the more they develop, they'll also go like money will go into those like parts who are
Military ways.
yeah, military like attacks against you.
Yeah, so like how do you help them become like better educated, give them more opportunity, help them like with humanitarian aid if all of the money then just gets funneled towards more propaganda and more building up of arms? Is that the idea?
Right.
They have their own like reality where they have the people in charge who see us as enemies. I don't know, they maybe in the future they'll see it differently and maybe will walk a peaceful way. Currently, I think Israel is doing whatever we can. So like the UN could give like money and food donations in, and will give electricity and water. Like I think like a month or 2 months ago, they had like power supply like shut down, and we helped by giving it electricity.
Yeah, we both
And like we are trying to help the place so there will be less casualties, and like because of crises and like whatever humanitarian crises that could happen there. And hopefully at some point like they'll change their like ways towards us and we can work things out. Yeah, like it's not the case currently.
And I don't see that happening for a long time.
I don't know if a long time, but I don't see it's not the case going with Hamas.
So basically like more aid in terms of food and like and electricity and things like that rather than money.
Rather than money, or rather than things they can use to turn into something else. Like we had this is a story I give every time, but like we had land that we surrendered over to them, and that land had a bunch of greenhouses on it with a bunch of crops, a bunch of food growing, tomato, like all sorts of produce, and they immediately burned it down, took all the metal from like the stands of the greenhouse. Hello, there we go, and used it to make bombs. It's like it's hard to figure out a way to help them without it becoming a problem in return for us in the future.
Right.
No good deed ever goes unpunished.
Right.
Well, it seems like, I mean, kind of like the rest of the world in different ways. It's like when you have your leaders or your media giving messaging to people and telling them who's at fault, who to hate, who to blame, who to fight against. Unless you change that messaging somehow, people are going to believe what they're told most often. And so it's like, how do we change that messaging when the people that own that messaging, like in Gaza Strip, it's like the jihadists or Hamas, but you know, in the Western world, it's like large corporations with interests and profits are writing that messaging as well to create division here. And it's ruining the world while they get away with destroying the planet. And I think like these, you know, I think we were trying to figure out in this show before you guys came on, like last week we talked about what's going to bring about the end of the world. And this week we were planning to talk about like what we could potentially do to prevent the end of the world. And just in talking to you guys, I feel like humanity and all of the people who aren't the controlling force, which I think the people in control are very small, but the people who are just normal people are almost everyone. And when we can see each other as people rather than as enemies, like we can see each other all as people being manipulated by a non-benevolent force, maybe that could shift things towards us working together for a better future rather than being manipulated by people with profits and interests or war in their interest. You know, how do we get the people with all the power to do things to benefit poor people?
Right.
But there are parts of the world that's doing it right. I mean, look at Scandinavia, look at New Zealand and places like that where they pretty much have their shit together compared to the rest of us. So it's doable. It works. It can be done, and it's just we got to figure out a way to how to make that happen everywhere else. So
we have
that
to find a way to straddle that, the two extremes of completely giving people to believe one particular thing and apathy, because that's kind of like in our country, you have people that are totally apathetic to what's happening in other cities and other counties and other states, and they don't give a fuck. It's not bothering me, so I'm not going to worry about it.
right.
That's the way they felt about Black people. They felt about Asian people when they had all this other shit going on. That's kind of where they are. And then you have other people that are they're so invested in bullshit because it affects them. They think it affects them when it really doesn't.
Right.
You know? So it's trying to find that place. And I guess it's because they've gotten rid of critical thinking, because if they were critical thinkers, you wouldn't have to worry about one extreme or the other.
I mean, you guys are both probably like, you know, at least a generation or two younger than most of us. Like, how do you feel about like the potential future of the world? Or if, like, would you have children to bring into the world as it is now? Or like, do you think that we're doomed? Like, it seems like it's, you know, in the time that I've lived, it's gotten less and less optimistic. Like, you know, do you feel like your generation is like just, you know, having fun and trying not to think about our demise? Or are you guys trying to think about how do we fix this place?
Or are you just to the point where you just go, eh?
Guy is kind of a special case.
No, I'm kind of optimistic. I think we are able to, like, as a human race, are able to solve a lot of problems. Even if we created the problems, we are able to solve them, and we are able to make very like exceptional things. And we keep on talking about a problem that we're gonna like have and we're currently facing, and like a global warming. And I guess I don't know, global warming is the main one, and we keep bringing up solutions, and we keep saying how we're not even trying to do those solutions. So why, like, what is going on? But I feel like we're it's not gonna be like those apocalyptic movies where we're just gonna fall and let it happen. I don't know. I'm pretty optimistic about us finding solutions to most problems. Maybe it's in tech, maybe it's like in times of crisis we find solutions. And currently we're not in the crisis, not in the immediate danger of like feeling it. And people say when we will feel it, it might be too late. But that's exactly where we might find a solution that will solve it again.
And if not, we're gonna build a spacecraft and we're gonna go live in space.
Like, with what happened with Corona, if you told someone that everyone in the world would like go through a disease that has a mortality rate, even if it's low, like a disease will jump for everyone, and we'll have to vaccinate everyone like 3 times, it wouldn't sound like possible, but we somehow did something. Maybe it was kind of a shit show all around when it happened, and we can laugh and make memes about it, but we laugh and make memes about it now. It's not even been 2 years. We are talking about like changes that global warming will like, take place in like 10 years and 15 years, and 10 years and 15 years will like probably be in like talking to AIs while being in cars that like drive around themselves and have hobbies.
Electric cars.
Electric cars,
Okay.
yeah.
Not just cars that drive themselves, but like
I don't know, maybe like Futurama, they put an ice cube in the ocean and they'll solve it. I don't know,
Maybe.
they might solve it.
because life is like Futurama.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah, and the Simpsons right now. Or it was South Park.
Definitely South Park.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I think
Guy.
go ahead.
So Guy, given that you're a little more optimistic than many of us, how do you think the human race is going to go extinct?
We did that last week.
I thought this was part 2, and he
Hey,
didn't.
Part 2 of the solutions.
Didn't get to go. Let him.
Well, he can't say what the problem is
No,
before
it's fine, it's
suggesting
fine.
a solution. Come on.
It's fine, it's fine.
I think it's either gonna like happen like at the next 50 years, like it's a next 50 years kind of event, or we're gonna continue and like be around space and like continue to be somehow.
He's already convinced we're gonna start 3D printing food very soon.
I know we've 3D printed food for a long time, but
Right,
we haven't
but
stayed-
mass produced, like,
Yeah,
instead of having
and-
cows, we'll have like 3D printed steaks from now on. So we don't have the emissions from having a million billion cows everywhere and yeah,
I
we
don't
talked
think-
about that today.
Cow emissions is the reason
No,
that
definitely
we're gonna
not.
solve the
Definitely not,
global
but
warming. But
it's a big part of it.
I-
It's a
I
big
think
part.
we're
It's a
gonna-
huge part.
I think if we're gonna go extinct, it's I don't know, aliens or something bigger than us.
Hmm.
Maybe asteroid or
I think I have to agree with that. I actually think that either we're going to solve these problems in the next 40, 50 years or, you know,
Or that's it.
Or not.
yeah,
we're either going
well,
to totally fuck everything up to the
nuclear-
point to where we have to reboot the civilization, or we'll come up with some solutions.
Or half of us,
And simulation.
Or
Like-
what?
or half of
Yeah.
us just go underground like mole people, wait it out.
Mormon people, Mormon mole people.
Mormon.
The Mormons have some sort of like cave situation going on.
It is.
We could call them the Momo people.
Oh,
The Mormon moles.
The Momo people.
I'm a Momo person.
I know, I like Momos too.
Our
'Cause we're talking
government
about it.
also has some sort of cave situation. And so, I mean, if things get really bad, avoid our government because they're prepared to kill us all.
Yeah.
we watch a lot of bunker tours.
Hmm.
What?
We watched a lot of bunker tours. Like we started out with this really weird niche of like houses that are fully like sustainable, like with
airships.
Earth ships.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we moved on to underground bunker tours.
They got real fast into this will keep you alive during the
Yeah.
So if you were to buy a house right now, you're leaning towards underground bunker.
No, he's going up.
No, I don't think that.
He's going up into space for sure.
Well, I mean, right now, you know, investing in the
Right now?
future. Bunker tour, spaceship. Like,
I mean, the technologies for both space colonization and future underground bunkers to avoid the planet being completely uninhabitable kind of go hand in hand.
Well, they are about to
And
start
Earth
building
ships,
a
too.
house. So I guess maybe you give them some ideas.
Hey guys, sorry, but we got to start wrapping it up again.
okay, well, we'll do some rapping, I guess. Anyone got the beat? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yikes.
Well, I
You don't want to
ask
hear us
Guy
making a
and
beat?
Layla-
Kelly?
I want to ask Guy and Layla, what do they see as solutions?
For
For all the
Yeah,
crap
you
that's
have-
going on in the world.
The end of the
Yeah, you
world.
have 4 minutes to save.
You said you were optimist. Now you have
4
to save
minutes
it
to
all.
save the
4 minutes to
world.
save humanity.
Go.
Solutions for what? I can't
Saving
make,
humanity.
I think
Don't put him on the spot or anything.
I feel like I would rather go for that bit again and find some lyrics instead.
You got nothing?
I don't know, like I kind of hope we'll find the answer with like AI and somehow use it to like make change around the world more, like I don't know, teach it to save humanity.
More accessible.
I really I have no idea how we're gonna save it, but I hope we will. guess,
We'll think about it, we'll get back to you.
yeah.
How about
All
that?
right.
Save it or destroy it, one or the other.
I'm thinking like AI robots identify the problem, take out the oligarchy, and usher humanity to a new era of cooperation.
There you go.
I know
With
that
a
Layla
managed-
wants to go to
efficiently
space.
managed grid. Sorry, what, Tali?
I know Layla wants to go to space.
I want to build like the Meet the Robinsons world, but in like a giant bubble that floats up into space.
Cool.
I love it.
We could make it a star bridge.
Yeah.
I actually think Guy's kind of onto something because I have a feeling that at some point AI is going to start really telling humanity where they're fucking up, and I don't think that the media is going to be able to stop that kind of shit.
Well,
You know
I
what
thought it
mean?
was
Right
interesting.
now
Okay.
they control everything, but AI is going to be accessible to pretty much everybody if the more they make AI. So, you know, it's going to be really hard to sit there and tell somebody one thing when your AI is saying, yeah, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
You gotta
Well,
be
and
real
it was
careful with
interesting.
what-
Go ahead, Arian.
You got to be real careful though with how you program the AI, because if you
Well, I
tell it
agree.
to save
I
all of
agree.
humanity, like, you know, the best
They'll
way
kill
of
us
doing
all.
that might kill us all and save us to the hard drive, and then we're
Yeah.
safe and nothing
Well,
bad
yeah,
can
like
happen.
Agent Smith saying, you know, humanity is a virus. I get that.
Yeah.
But right now, that's exactly the fucking way we're treating ourselves.
Yeah.
But if AI, if we're like, okay, we built this supercomputer to figure out what we need to do, and it delivers, well, we need to control energy, we need to reduce carbon emissions. To do that, we need to do this, and this. We need to redistribute wealth. We need a utopian society. We need to, you know, raise the poor up, bring the filthy rich down. We need to equalize things on this planet. We need to stop destroying our trees, you know, stop the ocean from warming, and redistribute food so we have no food waste. Like, you know, if AI figures out everything, in order to do it, AI would actually have to be in charge of the implementation, because we already know enough already, but the people with the power are unwilling to do it.
There's
So AI would
So-
have to implement.
Here's one of the problems with AI, and this is last week. This was an article about the AI, one of the AIs that Meta, the Facebook Zuckerberg thing.
Is that
had
AI,
cre-
or is that just Facebook's new name?
No, it's Facebook's new name, but they had created this AI, and it turns out it only took it 1 week to start spouting racist propaganda.
Well,
And it's like, so, you know, keep Zuckerberg away from AI.
Well, that's been a thing, that's been a consistent problem with a lot of AI, particularly chat bots that they allow to interact with the like the general populace. I think Google, I'm forgetting if it was Google or Microsoft that had an AI.
It was Google.
Yeah, that was supposed to simulate a teenage girl, and just within a day it turned into a filthy Trump-loving conspiracy theorist racist.
Yeah, a Karen.
Just from interacting with people on the internet. But given how people interact on the internet, it's not that surprising.
Yeah.
I was gonna say about the perfect utopia. There's a really good episode of, I think it's Black Mirror,
I
Ooh.
love Black Mirror.
where it's either Black Mirror. What's the other one? That's like the same kind of gist.
Oh, shit,
There's another
Love, Death,
Love, Death, Robots. It might be Love, Death, Robots.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's great too. I love that. Yeah.
Where we get control, like the yogurt takes over. There's like a super strain of yogurt that defines world peace, and they give it Ohio, and Ohio comes to like world peace, while the rest of the world just destroys itself. It's a really good episode. I recommend it.
That's great.
All right, guys.
Awesome. Well, it's been a great show. Thanks for solving all the world's problems together. Any final words, anyone?
Don't be a dick.
I'm still trying to figure it out.
We'll catch you all next week when we discuss something we have yet to be decided.
So
News and